Not tornado winds. These were straight line winds, and sometimes you can get more damage from a straight line wind event than a tornado because it affects far more people. And as you'd imagine here too, when it affects far more people, you have a lot more power outages on one of the hottest days of the year.
I'm not gonna lie, I was locked in. I totally forgot about spring forward.
Yeah,
you saved me
he
on that.
had a
they
look
would have
of
had
despair
me.
when he saw that graphic pop up.
It was not great,
Nope.
folks.
it's like one thing Americans all agree on. We want to just get that thing locked on DST and then never change it again.
It could unite us all.
Yeah,
You know?
Really
the one
can.
thing to unite us all. Yeah. I'm meteorologist Jack Gerfen back here at the Oklahoma City Auto Show. We were obviously looking at some classic cars earlier. There's not just cars here. In fact, we've got some adorable puppies. I'm joined right now with Rose Grimm of Second Chance Animal Rescue. And Rose, who do we have right here?
Oh, this is Ben de la Cruz.
Oh my gosh. And how many puppies do we have in our little enclosure right here?
Well, we have 6 about right now, but we've actually had 15 adoptions so far.
I've seen Carhenge
Yeah.
in Nebraska, which
Been
is pretty
there.
cool.
You gotta tell me twice about Carhenge, baby.
Carhenge is pretty cool. Yeah, they had a bunch of protesters that were there like the other day, like the Stop Oil people, and they like
gotcha.
spray canned it with
Yeah.
like that orange, and I'm like, it's a UNESCO like World
Right,
Heritage
yeah,
site. Like,
that's a tough one.
yeah, like
That's a
can't
tough
be doing
one.
that. As you can see, we've got a lot of damage on their property. They've got about 5 acres here. We have a lot of very old growth trees that have unfortunately come down. The tornado did pass right through this grove here.
Jack, as you take a look at this, I mean, my good, we heard it. This was loud. This was nuts.
Yeah, this was the loudest I have ever heard it in this studio. We could hear things that were not water or hail hitting the building too. And basically that was that strong pocket that created all the damage that Grant was at. A lot of our tornado warnings that we have had today, they started off farther down in the southern part of the storm and then eventually kind of occluded as it wrapped around itself, and eventually you get to more on the north end of things and then it goes away and then we get a new one that kind of comes back.
Join us from 10 to 3 on April 6th at Science Museum, Oklahoma for this year's Storm Safety Day.
And I was just over there this afternoon for a dry run through, and we have even more explosions, which will be really exciting for all the kids there. And it's going to be really loud, and we make some really big clouds. We're excited for it. Here, it's this one here that's by Watauga within Blaine County there. We've got the potential there for 2.5-inch sized hail, so tennis ball sized hail potential with this storm here that's just off to the west of the Watauga area, moving very slowly to the east, but it is starting to turn a little bit more to the right. That's a little bit concerning here for us, as that sometimes can increase that tornadic potential. You've got a huge hail core here, and we'd be likely looking at that to be coming in on our radar product there of 3-inch pluses based on that color table there. And in terms of velocity, we can see that there is rotation again. These are supercells, so there is obviously rotation with a supercell, but we're watching that one really closely here. That's our biggest storm that we do have. The 8 to 14 day though takes us into April. It's above average temperatures as well as precipitation. And so that would also include our eclipse forecast here. So again, we have the southeast corner of the state within totality, and that's obviously where a lot of people are going to go here to witness the eclipse. That's going to be our closest spot. And as we see with our model here, as we go throughout our Monday on April 8th, we've got a lot of cloud cover that still is in place here. That being said, there's not much in the way of rain showers or storms that's able to show up here with this model run. We've been really consistent here with the cloud cover, as well as a chance for some storms, and the fact that the storms aren't showing up there is a good thing. Of our field meteorologist Mike Williams, his shot there, he's heading towards the storm. A lot of low clouds there. You can see that we've got what looks like your scud, and also we call it the beaver tail sometimes too, as the inflow coming in into the storm. So he's again getting himself set up here to be in position to get ahead of that storm. And again, it's a very favorable environment here for the storm to keep on going. You got a lot of low clouds here. That scud that you can see with his storm there, and eventually the beaver tail just shows you here that the storm still has some potential as well as some life left with it here. But we can go back to the radar and just show here that that Carnes area is probably about right where that center of circulation would be. And so again, those locations that live in around there want to make sure that we are again seeking shelter as of this time, as it still moves off to our northeast at about 35 miles an hour or so. We'll take a little bit of a dip here as we head towards the middle to end of next week, and that will likely correspond with a better chance for some showers and storms. But even still, before Thursday and Friday, we have a small chance for some storms on Sunday as well as on Tuesday, and we'll talk about that here. The overall, though, next weather maker maker, though, will be this new air mass that will be in place, this warm and humid air mass. So it's, again, going to feel very summer-like here for this weekend. But as we head into our Sunday, we've got a dry line that will be setting up here across the panhandles, and there might be a few storms that are able to develop along and to the east of the dry line. We think there's better forcing for more severe weather up more into Kansas and Nebraska, so there's more of a severe threat there. But even still, for us, there might be a couple stronger storms that might be able to form for us here Sunday evening. Those gusts will be around 35 to 45 miles an hour pretty much throughout the morning, throughout the afternoon, and even the evening too. And even when we have our cold front come through that will provide us with our storms, it's still going to stay pretty windy throughout the area here. So that's why there is a very large wind advisory that goes from 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock tomorrow night for the counties that you see there in the tan color. And then, as you'd imagine, that does bring up our fire danger on the west side of the state. Red flag warnings are in effect from noon until midnight Saturday for basically the western about third or so of the state. We then also have our weak cold front that will be coming through, so obviously it's going to be windy throughout the entire day, but by the time we get to the afternoon and the evening, at that point we'll be watching the chance for a few isolated showers and storms. Margin of risk for severe weather here from the Storm Prediction Center. We're looking at winds up to 60 miles an hour, maybe a couple storms with some quarter-sized hail. You'll see that everything is very isolated with these storms. So it's very warm throughout the afternoon. It's very windy, but we're likely very sunny until we get to the afternoon when our cold front begins to make some clouds here. But we're likely still dry until we get to probably the early evening. And these storms are likely going to form pretty much right around the I-35 corridor, if not even maybe right over the city itself. Our mild temperatures today will set the stage for what's going to be a very warm forecast here for the weekend. Area of high pressure will keep things nice and sunny here for us and bring in warm temperatures. In fact, we'll be in the low 80s for tomorrow and pretty close to 90 by the time we get to Sunday. One of the things we have to kind of watch out for will be tomorrow's winds. They'll be out of the southwest. They're a little breezy at times with gusts at around 35 miles an hour. But we're still, though, anticipating the chance for strong to severe storms for our Monday. So that's really what's going to be our next weather maker now at this point. We're going to be watching kind of how the Pacific Northwest goes here for the course of our night tonight and tomorrow, but eventually we're going to see our low tracking off more to our north, but that's going to swing a dry line through the area here and also bring up our winds coming in out of the south, and that will set the stage here for what could be an active forecast as we head into our Monday afternoon, evening, and potentially nighttime hours if the storms form a little bit later. We'll talk more about the timing issues with our forecast coming up. The Storm Prediction Center still has their enhanced risk for severe weather. Again, the Storm Prediction Center can go only up to an enhanced risk this far out, and it's actually the same exact look that we had yesterday, and that's actually a pretty big theme here with our forecast here for today. Not much has really changed, which means that things still, unfortunately, look promising to support strong to severe storms by the time we get to Monday afternoon and going into the evening and nighttime hours. We still have our large trough, our large dip in the jet stream there off to our west. We still have an area of high pressure, the ridge off to our east, and we're also still expecting the winds along the bottom of the trough here to accelerate with the jet stream. That's called our jet streak, and that's still expected to not only be in place here, but also still expected to be just as strong as what it looked like yesterday. So from the big picture, again, things look to be unfortunately favorable for not only the development of storms with the lift here that you'd get with a strong jet stream like this, but also for maintaining them as well. Then at the surface, we still have our dew points, which are still going to be well into the 60s here for us, and we're still going to see our well-defined dry line over the course of the afternoon and evening be somewhere either across western Oklahoma or in the panhandles, and that's going to be the big question, is going to be where does that dry line set up. If it's a little bit farther to the west, that would then delay our storms, and then it would make it more of a nighttime chance for storms here for us. But if the dry line is closer to the border with Texas, that's going to be more of your typical late afternoon, early evening initiation with our storms, and they'll then move through over the course of the evening. Regardless of where the storms form or when they form, either in the west side of the state or farther west in the panhandle, they'll be able to take advantage of a lot of instability as well as the wind shear. The wind shear remains, again, good from a directional standpoint, where you've got winds out of the south at the surface and then more out of the southwest higher up you go. And we also have the stronger winds associated with that jet streak too, so you also have not only the directional shear, but you have the wind shear and the speed shear as well. So with our faster solution here with our models, that's going to show that storms will form along the dry line across more of the southwest side of the state, and the faster solution potentially could bring more of those individual supercells through the central part of the state as we head into the evening hours here, and it wouldn't likely make the line of storms until it's likely past I-35. Again, as you'd imagine, all modes of severe weather would be possible, large hail, damaging winds, and even some tornadoes with the early round of storms. If we go with a slower solution with our models, which is also possible, you're going to see that the storms will likely form a little bit farther off to the west. They will likely then make their line a little bit further to the west as we go more later on into the night for our Monday night. But we're still expecting there to be the chance for damaging winds, large hail, and even some tornadoes, even if our storms are going to be a little later on in the evening. So at this point on our Friday evening, what we have are basically the questions that we have to ask will be where do the storms form and when they do, because as of right now, severe weather looks to be very likely. I don't think that's really going to be much of a question for us here for our forecast on Monday. The dry line is going to really determine where the storms form and when they'd be coming through the metro, and all modes of severe weather are possible regardless of when the storms form here. So we're pretty confident in that. We just have to kind of get the location down. But for tonight, we've got temperatures that'll be in the upper 50s. Use the weekend here while it's nice and quiet and sunny to just kind of get yourself prepared. It doesn't really take much to be prepared, but you don't want to be scrambling in case things get a little hectic there on Monday. So storm watch alert day for Monday. We'll keep an eye on things here. But like I said, it's pretty likely that we're going to see severe weather for our Monday. It's going to be when do we see it?
Yeah, and who exactly, what neighborhood, right? And that can all change so quickly, as we all know.
As we all know, yep. So we'll be on it here throughout the weekend and even on Monday morning itself.
All right, thanks, Jack.
Yeah, that velocity looks to be really good now with that one. So confirmed tornado on the ground.
There's a tornado warning in your area. Do you know what to do? At school, you guys practice tornado drills. That way you know where to go in case there was a tornado warning. But if you're at home, there are 3 very good places to go to in case there is a tornado warning. Now, these are going to depend based on how your house is. Maybe you live in an apartment, but you want to make sure you get down to the lowest level possible here. Obviously, in Oklahoma, there aren't a lot of basements, but if you do have one, that's going to be a good spot to go to. But for most of us, we're looking at bathrooms and closets as our best spots. We'll go to our bathroom first here. And you can see that within the bathroom, you don't have any windows. Typically, bathrooms don't have very large windows or any at all. You also have multiple walls to protect you too from the outside, and you also have the tile as well as all the plumbing too. So the walls here are very reinforced. The tub also very strong too. So this is a great spot to go to if there was a tornado. Now obviously I grabbed a pillow here. You've got about on average 15 minutes until a tornado warning is issued to where it potentially could reach your location. So within that 15 minutes, maybe if you have the opportunity, grab something that can help to protect your head here. In case of the tub, you want to make sure you get low into the tub and use the pillow to protect your head like that. But maybe the bathroom isn't exactly the best spot to go to in your house based on how it is. Maybe a closet is a little bit of a better opportunity. Again, a closet, not exactly looking at very many windows, probably no windows at all in your closet. Again, it's going to have a lot in the way of extra walls around you, so you've got a little bit more structure. And so it's, again, a good place to keep you away from the glass as it could potentially be breaking here. But again, your bathroom and your closet most likely going to be the best spots to go to in case there's a tornado warning. However, if you have a safe room or a storm shelter, that's going to be the best opportunity. In the case of a safe room, those are usually going to be centrally located within your house. A lot of times you're going to have some steel with that one as well as some concrete. Then you also have your storm shelters. Some of your storm shelters may be located in your backyard. In the case for me, mine is in my house here within my garage. And so again, for me, my storm shelter is going to be my #1 place. Most importantly, it's underground here. We've got also within my underground shelter, I already have my lantern in place, and I also have a little cooler here with some water bottles. But again, your shelter as well as your safe room, those are going to be your best spots because they're reinforced concrete with metal, and in this case with the storm shelter, it's underground. But these are all going to be great places to go to in case there's a potential tornado heading your way. Your typical tornado warning has about 15 minutes of lead time. During that time, you want to act quickly but calmly, and you might also try to grab a few of these items here as they potentially could be very helpful. First up, make sure you're wearing shoes or proper foot coverings. You want to make sure you grab your wallet, any medication, your keys, grab your cell phone, hopefully it's charged up, a weather radio. In your safe spot, maybe have even some bottles of water and some food. And lastly, don't forget your pets.